Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a few moments of your time just to let you know a couple of announcements that I have for you. The first and the most important of the two is that I've been fortunate enough to be chosen as one of the mainstream commentators for the upcoming regional championships this early June. If you'd like to check it out and even join in on the action, you can do so by clicking the link in the description box below, which also contains the official Pokemon stream on Twitch. The dates are the 3rd and the 4th of June, and during the event we'll be providing coverage throughout the course of the weekend and of the whole tournament. The second is that I've been trying to promote the Facebook a little more, and for those following it, I've uploaded a secret video on there which you can only find by clicking the link within the description box. In between videos I usually post my activity on there, so you know what I'm getting up to when I'm not making videos, and I'll even try and get some behind the scenes pictures and posts while doing the commentary at the regional championships. Thanks again for your time, and on to the video. Hey YouTube, this is PokéCastXVll here, and today we have another Guardians Rising deck, and that deck is Trevenant Vileplume. Let's take a quick look at Trevenant. Trevenant is a stage 1 Pokemon that evolves from Phantump, is a grass type with 120 HP, weak to fire with a 2 retreat cost and 2 attacks. The first attack is what all the fuss is about in Poltergeist, which deals 30 damage times 30 more for each trainer card that your opponent has in their hand, also forcing them to reveal the contents as to what's in their hand. This attack, and this deck for that matter, is almost an exact reprint of the Gengar in Stormfront with the Poltergeist attack and the Vileplume deck that featured back in the Diamond and Pearl era. In both cases, Poltergeist is insanely good, as considering over half of your deck is usually filled with trainer cards. Keep in mind that the way this is worded, this includes supporters, stadiums, tools, and item cards. Not only does this allow you to hit for crazy amounts of damage, it also reveals the content within your opponent's hand and allows you to play more accordingly, as you'll then be able to play around the cards that your opponent has. This could also be the difference in something like ending your opponent out of a bad hand and potentially into a good one. With that said, Trevenant does have a second attack in Horn Leech, but because you stereotypically don't play any grass energy in the deck, this does make it extremely hard to pull off, and in most cases irrelevant to the deck. It's also made more difficult that you have to use 2 grass energy and not just 1 and a double colourless. So typically with any grass deck, you naturally play Forest of Giant Plants, as you want to be hitting those evolutions as early as possible when you have Forest of Giant Plants in play. And again, much like Decidueye, it only makes sense to play Vileplume, as Vileplume makes a perfect partner to Trevenant in this case. Irritating Pollen prevents either player from playing item cards from their hand, keeping in mind that this doesn't already affect the ones in play. When your opponent is locked out of playing item cards and can only play a single supporter card and 1 stadium in a single turn, this certainly in terms of probability does work in Trevenant's favour, as the likelihood will be is that their hand will be stacked full of trainer cards since they won't be able to play them. So what other techs can you include within the deck? The most obvious option is playing Trevenant Break, as not only a means of having another attack, but also a way of bumping up Trevenant's HP. Silent Fear was quite popular around World's time, with low HP basics like Night March in the format. For a single Psychic and a colourless, Silent Fear puts 3 damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon, and also is a great alternative if your opponent's hand is quite low and Poltergeist isn't hitting for too much damage. Another option you have is Lysandering something that does have a high retreat cost, and to start spreading damage on their side of the bench. Playing Psychic Energy also means that you can run Tapu Lele, which does serve a few purposes within the deck. Its ability in Wonder Tag allows you to search out a single supporter card, while Energy Drive is very similar to Lugia EX's Air Ball, an attack that featured quite a bit in the Decidueye Vileplume decks, to take the pressure off attacking with something like Decidueye, as Lugia could attack on a single energy. And of course finally, you now have a GX attack within the deck, which when using Tapu Cure, heals all damage from 2 of your bench Pokemon. As from there, the build of the deck is relatively straightforward, as much like Decidueye Vileplume, you play things like Ultra Ball to search out your Shaman EXs, to set up more efficiently, and drawing into other resources that you need. When playing this deck, you do have the option of a turn 1 Vileplume if you're able to go first, where you can feed through your deck using all your resources, and then item locking your opponents before they've even had a turn themselves. Where this deck excels over the Decidueye list is that you now only have to get a stage 1 into play, whereas Decidueye was a stage 2. You could argue that with Trevenant Break that it is effectively a stage 2, however, Trevenant Break is only a luxury and not a necessity, whereas Decidueye was essential that you got it out. And with all that said, here is a skeleton to get you started. The release of Rescue Stretcher means that this card not only acts as a revitalizer for 1, but also a potential Super Rod, as well as giving the deck a lot more versatility, and is why you only have 1 revitalizer in the deck. You could also use it to recover your Trevenant Breaks, since they're not grass types. If you did want to give this deck a little bit more acceleration, you could also include Acrobike, which can be a high risk high reward card. You have the 1 Tapu Lele, and also the split of 3 to 4 Psychic and double colourless energy to utilise Trevenant Break and Tapu Lele. However, these numbers can be changed if you have a different preference. I have also seen a few other variants using the other Trevenant from Breakpoint, which is something to consider should you want to. With Tapu Lele in the format, if you are worried about things like a turn 1 Wally, on something like a Garbodor, you can for that matter run Beedrill EX, which has the double Scrapper attack, functioning off just a single colourless energy should you want to. And of course finally 3 Floatstone, which can be bumped down to 2 if you prefer, although they do come in handy quite a bit, not only with Vileplume but Trevenant also. Attaching a Floatstone before you hit down your Vileplume will give your Vileplume free retreat, as Irritating Pollen doesn't negate the item cards already in play. And so there you pretty much have it. That is Trevenant Vileplume all concluded for you. If you did like this video and you would like to see more Pokemon related content, all you have to do is click the annotations at the end of this video. Alternatively, you can subscribe to the channel as well as find me on Facebook. I will leave all the links within the description box below. Thank you again very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.